We good?
Every time.
Hey everybody, I just want to address some controversy here.
Welcome back to Guyscast, Zach, Sim, Curtis.
Welcome to the Guyscast. That's right. You're not in Disneyland right now. I know that it looks like this is the sexy version of It's a Small World, but it's not. We're three individuals, and we're not going to be objectified. So, get those thoughts out of your head, Sim. Anyways, today we're sponsored by LimeWire and
Serum Reverb.
Serum Reverb.
Because we love Serum Reverb.
Yeah, we love Serum Reverb. It makes everything just sound 10 times better.
Sounds so much better.
Sound like, just the room is huge.
Anybody who doesn't like Serum Reverb, you can come at us.
Yeah, and if you don't like Serum Reverb, you probably make bad music.
Yeah.
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 And you should probably quit.
Am I supposed to understand this reference?
Steven doesn't like Steven Reverb. Steven had posted a video where he's like, Serum Reverb is shit, blah, blah, blah. We don't know what Serum Reverb is at all. But
on Instagram?
Yeah.
This is a friend of ours. He makes music. And
so now we're calling him out because Serum Reverb is great. It sounds great.
And again,
don't at us. Is that what they say now?
Yeah, don't at me. No, you say, okay, boomer.
Can't say that. It's racist.
Yeah, it's a new.
I don't get that reference either. I wasn't paying attention to
it was a meme.
So it was a tweet.
Oh, tweet. Yeah.
It was like a boomer tweeting that like calling like boomers boomers is calling black people the N-word.
Oh.
It's the equivalent of that. So you're like, are you serious?
And then the response was like, that's the most boomer thing I've ever heard to compare this term to like the N-word.
What was the context for that though?
Because now it's like a meme. People go, "Okay, boomer."
No. I mean, like, why did? So when, like, what provoked her or him?
It was a guy. Yeah.
It's just around, like, because people don't. Because boomers ruined everything.
Okay.
Like
right,
climate,
they did.
like
okay.
Earth,
right? And then it's just like how white people used to be like, whatever. But this is true, and that's not true. Back in the day, white people used to be like, "Oh, black people ruined everything." That's not whatever. But boomers actually, we have proof that you ruined the climate, you ruined the economy, and everything sucks now, and we're all gonna die pretty soon because of you.
Exactly. So. And this segment is sponsored by Bonsai Buddy. Go download Bonsai Buddy, and
that one I don't know.
I don't
that
get
one
it.
He has to explain.
I'm trying to just say any like '90s program I can think of. Like LimeWire, yeah.
S Club.
S Club's a group.
S Club's yeah. So I'm thinking about '90s things. Just in general,
we can
just
say
general '90s things.
Okay, we can do that too.
It was a TV show too. Didn't they have a TV show?
S
Club.
I don't remember the rest of the lyrics.
There ain't no party like an S Club.
Yeah, it's the one.
There you go. This section is sponsored by MSN Messenger.
I miss it.
Yeah, I miss you.
Sometimes I think like, is this still online? And if I signed in, would people still? People are always online. They're just always.
Ryan's still last time. I mean, this is years ago, but it's still way after MSN Messenger. So it was like maybe 4 years ago. I remember his house.
Yeah.
MSN Messenger still loads up when his computer loads.
Like he signs in too.
I don't know if it signs in or not.
You have no idea.
That would have been interesting to see who was online.
You have no idea how lit that shit was.
I want to check.
You get off of. You get out.
I'll check out the one.
You pull out your phone you have an app, MSN Messenger. Does the App Store have MSN?
I'm gonna
Messenger?
check right now.
I think they closed it down a few years ago.
It was
and
hilarious.
People were upset
because you would go on after school, and then your whole thing would be like, "I'm bored."
Yeah, no, it's not even saying like
everybody would be like, "I'm bored." Like, "Hey, what's up?" "Oh, I'm just bored."
That place was that. MSN was so lit right after like grade 7. You get off from elementary school and you just go home and go on MSN, talk to all your friends.
Did you guys Sim? I know it didn't, but did you guys have the crazy display names?
Yeah, there's display names and like the
personal
weird like
message. You got a personal message too.
Yeah.
Before just display names, but now and then they added the personal message.
This is stupid. No.
There was a week in grade 5 where I put lyrics from "Drop It Like It's Hot" into my message.
Oh, why?
Because I was like, Party Sahoda's doing it, so I should do it too.
Yeah.
And then after I realized I didn't like doing that and it was dumb, I stopped and I just kept it as my name.
I had a buddy and we played an online game called Ragnarok Frontier, and my buddy would
Is it better or worse than Maple Story?
It's better, but it's not that much better. Anyways, my buddy would go on and he would find out what their MSN like username was, and then you can like instead of putting the password, you can go like secret password, and it'd be like favorite food, and you just put sushi. You would go on, and people would literally have their friends like broken down and be like, Ragnarok friends, so he would go on and be like, hey, can I use your account for a bit? Because then people would be close, I guess. And he's like, yeah, sure, use my account. And he would go and he would just steal everybody's shit. And he sold it. He got made real money doing that shit for a bit. They got banned so many times, but like he would come in and I'm like, you've been playing for a week and I've been playing for like over a year and you have way better shit than me. Like, how is this possible? And then he told me and I was like, oh fuck, man. Like, you're just stealing from all these people. But seriously, your password was sushi.
Damn,
anyways,
that's funny. What else?
You guys see anything cool lately, or play anything?
Do you want to talk about
play anything cool lately?
You guys want to go first? I can go second. Get in there last.
I did see a movie. I did see a movie recently, but
you did. What's the movie?
I finally watched Yesterday. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
It was the Beatles one. The guy wakes up.
And then the Beatles are gone.
And the Beatles, no one remembers the Beatles. Yeah. It was a charming movie.
Is that new? Is it in theaters?
Came out like last year, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't they make another Beatles movie with the guy from 21?
21.
Where he's a soldier or something, but it's like the whole movie
Across the Universe.
That's the one where they made it.
Yeah.
Because they had
that one was psychedelic and weird. It was okay.
I watched that one. Yeah, it was alright, but I was really young.
This one was like more like a dramedy kind of. Basically, this guy's trying to become a famous musician, and then he gets hit by a bus, and then for some reason, like because all the power goes out, he gets hit by a bus, and then when the power goes back on, it's like everybody just forgot what the Beatles was. Like he finds out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then he starts like playing it for people, and they're like, "This is amazing! You're like the best songwriter ever." And then he like becomes famous, essentially playing Beatles songs, and no one knows. But the thing I did like about it is
that's it. How does that pan out for him?
That seems like a good life.
Well, I don't want to spoil the movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
right. Okay.
But, is it like relatively new, or is it?
It was like last year it came out or something like that. Yeah. Maybe the last 8 months or 6 months. Anyways, what I did like about it is like because the Beatles don't exist, some things in the world don't exist anymore.
Mm.
Like Coke for some reason doesn't exist. I don't know. It was like weird things like that. Like some of them I was like, I don't know if these are directly related, but like
maybe they did like an ad.
I guess it just like changed the timeline a bit so that like cigarettes for some reason don't exist. And that was when I was like, that would probably still exist.
That would definitely still exist.
But yeah, so there's little things like that.
Would you suggest to give it a watch?
I would if you want something kind of cute and charming to watch. That it's kind of lighthearted and Beatles songs are always upbeat and nice to listen to. So Ed Sheeran's in it and he's actually pretty good. He was a pretty good sport because they make fun of him so much in that movie, and he kind of makes fun of himself. So I would suggest watching it. It's a fun watch. Same guy who did I think he did Slumdog Millionaire.
Ooh.
Oh,
really? What is it? 27 hours.
127 hours.
I think is
the one with James
Franco.
James Franco has to
He did Slumdog?
Yeah, he did.
Same director, I guess.
Wow.
I have no idea.
I think his name's Danny Boyle.
Danny DeVito.
Danny Boyle.
Not Danny.
Boyle. I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
He's the director. Anyways, I would recommend it. It's a light watch if you want to watch something with a girlfriend or something. I don't know. I didn't do that. But or with your family.
Or by yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Fucking watch what you want.
You don't even have to watch this. You can turn it off.
You guys watch anything?
I'm watching Hajime no Ippo because it's a boxing anime
About the Beatles.
about the Beatles. No.
Help! Somebody help.
The only other anime that I could think of that's boxing was
that?
it's like Ashita no Joe. I mean, old school. There's new ones.
There's like a new one where they're like they got like spring arms and shit.
Wait, yeah,
Is this one? I know it's been on for. Sorry, it's been on for a long time. Is it over yet, or is it still?
I think it's done.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I know there's 3 seasons, but I'm surprised at like how accurate. It's not super accurate. It's not super duper realistic, but it's trying to be somewhat realistic, and it's like it's got a lot of things.
Does it have the Kuroko elements where it's like a dude is like so good?
Not yet.
Okay.
But a little bit. So like for example, so it's kind of like Kuroko. So if you guys haven't watched Kuroko no Basque.
Kuroko's basketball. For the white people, for me.
Kuroko no Basque. It's a basketball anime, and it's super exaggerated, but it's sort of based on real things. Like this guy can shoot 3-pointers forever, or not forever.
From
he has
anywhere.
a limit. He has a limit, and that's his special power. Is he has 3-pointers. Anyways, so Hajime no Ippo, I think for now it's such an early stages, so there's not too much stuff I've seen yet. But he just joined the gym, and then I think it reminds me of like we were talking about good storytelling is when the writer makes like hard decisions about things. So for example, that video we watched about The Dark Knight, where it forces Batman it puts him in conflict with his own values and stuff like that. But mostly I feel like that's just when a writer has to make a hard decision about like, okay, my character is selfish in this situation or something. Or like my character really hates Jews. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like something about like fascist. It's because we were playing the Secret Hitler game. But anyway, we'll get to that later. We'll talk about that later. We'll get to that game. But when you're trying to define your characters and it puts them in conflict or you have to make hard decisions about what your character is and isn't, I think that's good storytelling as opposed to and that's part of why I guess you could say I'm tangenting so hard here. Part of why like I think maybe this is why we didn't like Sword Art Online that much, because Kirito is very just blank slate. For the parts that I watch, I'm sure he improves and he gets better as a character later. I don't know. I only watched the first couple seasons. But he's very blank slate. That should be
enough to know.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, sorry.
But anyway, so back to Hajime no Ippo, for example, like as a boxer, he's not just like a basic boxer. They've decided like he's a strong puncher, he's smaller and shorter, so he has to use certain tools that only a smaller but powerful boxer can use.
Like Lil Mac.
Yeah, he's like Lil Mac. He actually is like a Lil Mac. So like for example, he fights someone who's different, the other guy's not as strong, but he uses footwork and movement. And he has a story like all animes do, where his dad used movement and he thought he could, like they call him a boxer, like outbox the other person, which is when you just points, right? You're better at the sport landing of boxing. Shots, landing shots. Like it's not about power. You're not like Tyson. You're not smashing them out. Yeah. But you're better at like evading and moving and hitting and not getting hit. So that guy, his dad was like amazing at that. But then his dad got knocked out or something, and then he didn't put the gloves back on. So now as his son, he wants to like prove that his dad's style of fighting is still legitimate.
Oh yeah.
So that's the first guy that Hajime fights, spars at his gym. And then versus Hajime is a different fighter, right? Like I was saying, he's smaller, but he's just weirdly powerful. Like he's really strong. And then his character, he's like super nice guy, right? Like he used to get bullied and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So watching that first fight is like really interesting, right? Because they actually show the trainers teaching him like, okay, you can't give him any space. So and this actually applies to like martial arts because I train kickboxing and I've had to deal with this too. Is like, when you're fighting a longer ranged guy that kind of likes to keep his distance and likes to use footwork and stuff like that, you have to crowd him. Because what he wants is, he's trying to control distance, right? So a lot of guys will be bobbing in and out. And by doing that, he's controlling the distance between you and him. Like he's what do you call it? Not dominating, but he's dictating. There you go. Yeah. He's dictating the distance by him moving. So you're trying to gauge him moving, right? But he's moving on his dime, right? The way to counter that is to press, like one way, that's also lots of ways to counter, but one way is to press forward and suffocate him so he can't keep moving, like can't keep bobbing. So he's pressured into like, okay, he has to fight your fight where you're pressing into him. And they even do that where there's a point where Hajime, he moves in right in the middle of the guy's punch, so he gets hit, but the punch doesn't do damage because he's squished the range, right? So if you land a punch like here, it's not as powerful as obviously if you land it at the end.
Yeah.
Right? So he gets hit, but it's only here, and then he ends up countering him because he squished the range on this guy that likes to use his footwork. So there's a lot of stuff in there I can tell that they're trying to make it
analyzing realistic. That's what I actually appreciate about Naruto. Like at the beginning, because it'd be like, if he could do like this kind of thing, then I could do this.
That's part of the stuff. Part of stuff, the calculating. Yeah, that's like such an anime thing, right? They even make memes about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the newest thing that is a little bit like Kuroko, where it's a little bit more exaggerated, a little bit more anime, like Super Saiyan-y, where it's a little bit supernatural.
Yeah.
Is it's based on the flicker jab. So this guy has a flicker jab. And then, so the flicker jab is kind of when your hand's low. This is what I think the flicker jab is. I could be wrong, but I think it's when your hand's low and you kind of just flick it out like that. Like your normal jab's like this, right? But if you just kind of have it here and you just flick it out almost like a backhand, kind of, you just flicker jab, right? But then in the anime, the way they do it is,
so exaggerated.
It looks like it's super exaggerated, like his arm's like a whip. So it's like, like in the anime, if you watch it, his arm's like,
wow.
And you're like, I guess so. I guess so. But I think, they're trying to emulate, and I think this is why I like Kuroko, is they're trying to emulate what it feels like. Like, what anime gets right for me a lot of times, and I think this is what a lot of people relate to when they get into anime, is they really get the emotion and the feeling of whatever that moment or whatever that thing is, right? So Kuroko, I remember I always go back to this, is like, there's that episode where Kisei is Aomine. Yeah. And then, so Aomine's the not the star, but like he's the what would you call him?
He's like a street baller. He's like what?
He's like of the all-star team. He's the Ronaldinho, or like he's this, wasn't he? He was right.
He's the one that shows off a lot. He's an Allen Iverson. For whatever, right? Like you go out there, he's the best player on the court.
That's what I mean.
He's the best player on the court. Also, he balls the fuck out, and he's better than everybody. He's doing crazy moves and shit.
Yeah.
Like this guy will get you 40 to 50 points, easy by himself, and it's almost like he's much better than he's better than everybody, and he knows that he's better than everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like I'm just toying with you guys. That's the kind of guy he is.
So, but in this match of Kuroko, there's a point where he's losing to someone. It doesn't really matter who the other guy is, but he's losing, and the crowd, they're like they get scored on, and he has the last foul before he gets ejected.
Yeah.
And then he has that. He sees the crowd and everybody, like his teammates and his coach, and everybody's like, oh, that was his last foul. He only has one more foul left.
Yeah.
And he's gonna get ejected, and like they're losing, and like. And then it goes in the internal, which is always anime, like what's in his head, like what he's thinking.
Yeah. And
his monologue is like, what, like, why are they so worried? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't, like, you guys are so, like, you think I'm gonna lose?
Yeah.
Or something? And then right off of that, like, he throws the ball from half and gets in a 3-pointer, like, right away, and everybody's like, oh! But it's like that emotion, like, I felt that. It's kind of like, you know, if you're sparring and someone lands a jab on you or something, or lands a shot, everybody else, you could feel everybody else's vibe when they see you get hit, right? They'd be like, oh shit, like, oh, right, you got hit there, ooh. But you, the guy that got hit, you're like, I didn't fucking hurt. Like, why is everybody making such a big deal?
Yeah.
Right? Like, didn't even hurt. Like, I wasn't even a good shot, right? And like, they got that emotion perfectly there, right? Where like, he's losing, he's like the best, like he's that cocky player, like Sim was saying, and he's losing, right? And everybody's like, oh, right? Like, oh, is he gonna lose? And I think that's just something that anime gets really well. So far, I can. Hajime like hasn't hit too much of that yet. I feel like there's certain things they are obviously like the training and the montage of training and like getting excited about loving it and stuff like that. But I can't wait till like the stakes are higher. Because right now he's stacking up the wins. Like he just became a pro. He became licensed. I think he's amateur still, but he just got licensed and he's taking amateur fights and he's just getting up there. Like the latest one is he just got headbutt. So he's figuring, like, the first fight where someone was fighting dirty. So he had to figure that out. But I think eventually, like, that guy, he actually, I guess it's a spoiler, but that guy said he'll see him again in the tournament or whatever, like the guy that used footwork that he beat or whatever. Anyway, it's a good show. If you like martial arts, I think Hajime no Ippo is a pretty good show for as far as I've watched.
Sweet.
I'm enjoying it.
Well, that segment was sponsored by AOL. Go get yourself one.
Go get yourself an AOL.
Go get yourself an AOL.
Get some internet right now.
Sim, did you say you're
watching Watchmen?
Oh yes, yeah. I want to hear about that because I'm someone who's read the comic. I love the comic.
Did you watch the movie?
I have watched the movie. I didn't hate it. It was the most neutral movie I honestly watched ever.
I remember the ending of the movie. I didn't read the comic, but I Wikipedia the comic way back when after I watched the movie.
Yeah.
What was the ending of the comic?
Okay, the ending of the comic. Basically, they make like this fucking monster. It looks like a vagina. I'm not even like joking.
Yeah, the squid thing?
It's a squid vagina monster. But basically, Ozymandias, like, he started out by trying to figure out how to help the world in a way, but then they came up with this, like, teleportation system.
Yeah.
But they realized every time they teleport something, it exploded. But then he realized, hey, if I explode this vagina monster in the middle of New York, they'll think it's an alien from outer space, so then Earth will have to join together and work together in order to combat something that is out within like space, so that's out of this world. So that was his concept, but then Rorschach was taking notes, and before, like, it's like in the movie how they kill him.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a lot of spoilers if you've never seen Watchmen. Anyways, but Rorschach left a journal that basically kind of outlined that he thinks Ozymandias, like, he outlined the plan almost that Ozymandias, his manifesto. So basically, it's implied that all the hard work that Ozymandias technically did, which is like he's so crazy, is gonna go to shit. So that from what I understood, that this new show that you're about to talk about, it picks up from after that.
Yeah. So it's I think a while.
So wait. So what does that mean? Does that in the middle of the movie it takes place then?
The show?
Yeah.
Show takes place.
The show takes place after the book and
the end of the movie.
Or it takes place after everything.
It takes after everything.
Oh, that makes way more sense.
Yeah. So then the movie Ozymandias. So now that I hear this, the show is after the comic book.
It is after the comic book.
The movie ending is different. It's Ozymandias pretends that Dr. Manhattan is whatever bad guy gets everybody to go against Dr. Manhattan. Yeah. And even Dr. Manhattan's like, you know what? Probably the best thing to do.
Exactly.
Honestly,
and Rorschach's like, if you don't kill me, I'm gonna tell everybody the truth.
As someone
who, like, yeah, you're right.
As someone who thinks though the Watchmen comics like one of the best comics ever made, I didn't hate that change because I was like, you know, it also makes sense to just make.
I think all the critics, like myself included, were like, that was probably the one change that made sense. And I know,
to me that made sense.
And originally, I assumed they would do when I first started watching the TV show, I was like, this kind of seems like it's after that ending because Dr. Manhattan's gone. He's on Mars in this too.
Yeah, he leaves in the comic. He leaves also because he's like, I'm tired of dealing with these people and their little problems.
And so Rorschach still got his manifesto out. He did. So even in the movie, there's a little clip at the end too where Rorschach, there's like a newspaper outlet, right?
Yeah, no,
and they find his journal.
That's how in the comic that happens too.
Yeah. So in I'm not sure if it's in the comic, but in the show, his journal got published in like a right wing journal.
Oh.
So the right wings didn't take it as like. They didn't just take it as like, Ozymandias is lying. They kind of took it as their creed, and they use his mask as like a way to hide themselves and just try and they're white supremacists essentially.
Okay, so
that's how they relate it to now.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seemed like that because I was like, they're all wearing masks.
And then so a lot of it takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where this is a really real event. There was like a big, not riot, but like back in the 1930s or 1920, I can't remember when, but like there was like a neighborhood that was called Black Wall Street. Where a lot of the African American people that were there were getting a lot more rich than the white people around them, and then the white people all gathered together, went into that neighborhood, and killed like 100 or 200 black people.
Jesus,
it was one of the worst racial events ever, but it's been buried. Like people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who the director of this guy is, or director of the show is. He brought it. He found it. Like he watched a documentary on it. He's like, what the hell? How come nobody knows about this? And he starts the series with that scene, so you get the idea of like this is what this is like. It has this kind of. This is how it relates to your life.
It's
right?
Sorry, real quick. The guy who made Lost, or one of the main writers for Lost, is the guy who made this show.
Is it something? Is it Jonathan Landis? No, that's not.
No, it's not. I don't remember his name either.
David something.
David Byrne. No, I almost said.
I don't know. But anyway, so that's the series picks up. I don't know how long after. I think it's been decades because Silk Spectre is old. The same one from the comic is old now. So I think it's been at least
Silk Spectre 2.
2, yeah.
Okay.
So it's been at least 20 or 30 years. She goes by, her last name is Blake now. So she changed her name to her dad's name.
Oh.
Which is pretty cool. That's just, you just met her now in the 3rd episode, pretty much. And vigilantes are outlawed.
Of course. They were in the Watchmen too, weren't they?
Yeah, but what's happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma is those guys in the Rorschach mask, the white supremacists, they use him as their symbol. And there was a day, I'm not sure how long before the series, maybe a couple years, but they went into all the cops' homes and just shot them and all their families to get rid of any resistance. So now the cops wear masks too to protect their identities. So
damn, this is rowdy.
Yeah.
So who's the black chick?
She's
with the thing across
Regina King or whatever. She was one of the ones that got shot, and then so she afterwards she's like, I'm not a cop anymore. I'm a baker, but real low key she's like one of them kind of thing.
So she only does that when.
What do you mean?
Does she? What's this?
Like she has her mask on and whatever.
Oh, okay. Because doesn't she have this across her eyes when she doesn't have a mask on?
No.
Oh, really?
Like during the day she's just normal and she's pretending that she's a normal person.
Oh, okay.
But at night she puts on her thing and she's like one of the vigilantes. She works for the cops.
Okay.
So like their version of there's like a communist cop. He wears all red. He has a red ski mask and stuff like that. He's Russian. He's whatever.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And like there's one guy who interrogates people and his mask is like a mirror. So if you're looking at him, like his whole face is covered and you can just see yourself.
Oh.
Right.
That's interesting.
So that's one part of it. The other part of it is Silk Spectre now works for the FBI and they're trying to just stop vigilantes. They're the anti-hero task force.
I see.
She's one of the best at it because she was one.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that she was one too.
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan's on Mars. Everybody.
Did they show Dr. Manhattan?
Not yet.
They just talked.
They alluded to him, and in this most recent episode, you kind of got a sense that he's he's aware of things.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way he is.
Well, obviously.
He knows what's going on, but he just doesn't care.
The best thing about his character is he experiences time simultaneously.
Yeah.
So everything is happening at the same time for
Yeah.
him. It's just crazy. Cool concept.
Like Silk Spectre tells him a joke, and essentially the end of the joke is like a brick falls down onto the ground. Like, and then she's not really talking to him. She's leaving him a message. Everybody can leave him a message. They go to the store, whatever.
Yeah.
They talk into a phone, and then but he never replies to anybody.
Yeah.
Even to her, he hasn't replied. Then she goes outside. She's walking, and just a car falls out from in front of her, like from the sky. And then she's like looks up, and then she's like sees like a blue. I think Mars. And like Mars just gets bigger, right? And then she's like, oh, like you just like my joke where the brick dropped from the sky, a car dropped from the sky, kind of thing. Ozymandias, everybody thinks he's dead. Everybody thinks, I think he saved the world, but he's not dead. And he's kind of in like
is that a spoiler? That sounds like a spoiler.
No, like he's in the first episode.
Oh, okay.
But everybody else is like, yeah, like Ozymandias died, blah blah blah. But he's there.
Yeah.
And this is my theory.
Is it the same actor?
No, it's So they said he's either dead or he faked his death, got plastic surgery to make himself look like somebody else, and he's out there. But he's do you remember New Alfred from Ben Affleck Batman?
Yeah, he's that
Jeremy
actor.
Irons.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons.
Oh yeah.
He's him.
I was just about to ask about that.
Yeah, he's Ozymandias.
My biggest question: do you see Silk Spectre use the blue dildo?
She pulled it out. You don't see her use it because it's HBO. They're not going to show somebody penetrating.
What are you talking about? HBO shows people get fucked all
because
the time.
it's HBO.
No, you don't get to see her use it. She
Sorry, I saw a
at
clip
the end of this
that.
most recent episode, she like pulls it out and she's like whatever. Oh no, in the middle, sorry. And then she's like kind of feeling it up, and then she puts it down. She goes and fucks her. She picked like some random stupid geek guy to come with her to Tulsa, because now she's in Tulsa too, trying to find the vigilantes. And then she goes and fucks him instead to use his warm body, probably thinking of Dr. Manhattan at the same time. So
Once you go blue.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are watching. I have a theory of what Ozymandias, where he is, because he's in a place that's not connected to the rest of the world. It seems like, because Ozymandias is, he's the smartest person on Earth. That was his whole thing.
Yeah.
One of them,
like even when in the movie specifically, when I watched it out, it's like I think he's doing it, and he screws over Dr. Manhattan because he's like, you may be God, but I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, he's in a place where he's like, I think Dr. Manhattan put him in a place, and he's trying to beat Dr. Manhattan at his own game. I don't know how like to explain it to you without spoiling stuff. But I'm not sure how much you guys even want to know.
But it's good. Like we should. Watch it.
You should watch it. Like the first 2 episodes have been good.
I didn't know why. I thought it was gonna be set before. I don't know why.
Like a prequel?
Like a prequel.
Yeah.
I think it's because they made comics that were prequels or something.
Yeah.
So I just assumed.
In the comic, the actual Watchmen comic, they do show a bit of prequel stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're called the Minutemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first group of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was which included
the first Silk Spectre,
the original
the first...
comedian, but I don't think he was the comedian then.
Yeah.
And then the original Silk Spectre, the original.
I think he was the comedian. I feel like he was the comedian.
No, I don't think he was. He was something else.
Oh, he had a different name?
Yeah, it was like the Hood something. I don't know.
It's very relatable to now, and it's also has that Watchmen kind of thing to it. And there's like I said, you can tell it's setting up to be something good, and hopefully I'm right. If I'm right, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, I knew it.
So far, it's gotten really good reviews.
Yeah.
We don't have a minute 30 left.
And it's a pretty deep show in terms of like what racism is, and like what, because even the cops aren't good necessarily, right?
Yeah.
Because like something happens, and rather than trying to go through, investigate, whatever, they just straight up round every single white person pretty much that they can, and start interrogating them. Be like, are you racist?
Wow.
And then in this world, because of that event, because of all the racist stuff that did happen, Robert Redford is the president, and he made reparations pretty much for all the African American people, so that if any of your ancestors were involved in any of these incidents, you don't have to pay taxes at all. And other people are like, that's ridiculous, you're American, you should be paying taxes, which is kind of part of the thing that stems out to the white supremacists, where they're like, this is not fair. That's also one of the questions that they used to interrogate them. Like, do you think every American should pay taxes? And then some of them are like, yeah. It's like, well, you're racist then, right? But it's like, is that a real good way of picking out? It's really, it is. Right now, they're painting it to be like white supremacists are really bad, but there's little bits and pieces in there. It's like everybody's kind of bad.
Because the original,
let's reset here.
It's interesting that it sounds like that show has a real like focus on race relations and stuff.
Get that director's name while you talk. Sorry.
Okay. It's weird that it has such a focus on race relations because the original comic story, it's like. Well, it covers so many things. It covers like sexuality and superheroes, and it covers like politics and stuff. Like this covers politics, but it never really touched on race relations. It kind of touched more
Damon
on like,
Lindelof, sorry.
Yeah, Lindelof or whatever.
Well, I think the best stories. I remember someone saying this about Joker. I don't know if I can't remember podcast, but anyway, they're saying like all the Jokers of their time, like all the Batman movies. They tried to like address the most pressing like fears or like issues at the time.
Yep.
Right? And so like this is maybe like Watchmen doing that, obviously.
No, yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I think that's totally fine. That's cool. They're focusing on that. It just made me think like, hey, the original comic doesn't even actually touch on race relations at all when I think about it.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't really matter.
No, it touches on other things.
It fits, like, from what it sounds like. Yeah, from what it sounds like, it does fit into the world of Watchmen.
Yeah.
So I think it is good to, like, use these stories as vehicles.
And especially in order to, like, touch on our contemporary issues. One thing is, Lindelof actually talked about how making the show, he's like, I grew up and I loved the Watchmen. Like, if you knew comics, you loved the Watchmen. It's like such a great thing. But apparently, there's this thing called the Watchmen curse. Because Alan Moore, who wrote the Watchmen, and he wrote The Killing Joke, he wrote a lot of the biggest, like, deep comics. Back in the day, he fucking hates corporate anything. He hates DC now. He didn't take a dime from the movie that was made. I think he doesn't take any money from the like stuff that.
He hates all that. He hates the fact that they made the movie and. That
he hates it, and he didn't want his name attached to it at all or anything. So like, he's just like purist, this curmudgeon purist, but he's also like a genius when it comes to writing. But apparently anybody that tries to adapt his stuff, like bad shit happens. Like he was saying like someone almost died on the set or something.
There's a lot of stunt work.
Yeah. And then he was saying how like Zack Snyder's movie ran into some problems too. I wish I remember all the problems that they ran into, but it was like not necessarily small shit. And he's like, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna fall under the Watchmen curse as a result. And
if you're going into it to see like. And this is how I went into it. If you're going into it, be like, I can't wait to see Dr. Manhattan come down and beat himself and start shooting.
It's not a Marvel movie, right? It's kind of an analysis of comic book heroes. Like it's kind of
it's like what is whatever that word is, vigilantism.
It's right? That, but it's also okay? Like I forget his name, Night Owl and Silk Spectre, like they explore sexuality and superheroes basically. Like Rorschach is like this like chaotic, like
but he's right.
But he's right. He's like this chaotic,
good, and he has so much conviction.
I guess. Exactly, and then there's Ozymandias, and it's like do the ends justify the means kind of thing, and then you got Dr. Manhattan, and like the whole concept of like
none of this matters.
None of this matters, and just like how we perceive time, and also not only that, it's like it was a commentary on how when you read comics too, like time works kind of that way. Like you can literally flip to any page and you can go between time in that way. Like it's weird, like how that was addressed. Like they touch on so many big topics.
I heard that I forgot where I heard this from, but I heard that originally before he even wrote Watchmen, he originally was going to try to use DC's characters. So it's going to be like Superman was Dr. Manhattan, and then Ozymandias was Lex Luthor, and then obviously Night Owl was Batman. But basically he was like, imagine a world where Superman doesn't give a shit about the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Or is losing touch and doesn't care because he's that powerful. He's Superman. He's like a god. Why would he care? right?
Yeah.
And then Lex Luthor actually just wants world peace, but he's the smartest man on the planet.
Yeah.
So how would Lex Luthor go about achieving world peace?
And the way he does it is like pretty terrible, but it's also
Yeah.
but he achieved this,
And then obviously Batman can't get a boner. That's
Yeah, exactly. And that was weird because it was like they felt more themselves when they were in suits. Like at that point, I think at one point they like the comic shows them like tear their skin off and underneath they're like the superhero. Like that was the metaphor for it. Like I don't know.
in the movie, in the movie, I think I forgot. I remember seeing. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, it's a famous scene.
Yeah.
They have sex in his like flying ship.
Yeah,
and I remember after they like save somebody from jail. I don't know. There was a Watchmen game. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It was like
a
beat 'em up.
It was just like a beat 'em up.
It was.
Yeah.
It's not
Is it like
do
the
that.
X-Men game?
In a way,
in
it was
arcades where you just play as one of the characters and you're just running across the screen.
kind of not
It
as
was-
not as simple, but like
yeah.
It was.
I remember it was on
like,
PS3 or something. Yeah,
It was like it was Xbox 360.
yeah, I was on that
Yeah.
like that era.
That was but I don't know when I think of Alan Moore, I remember his quote about that stuff about like people using his stuff and like remaking or sequels and stuff is he's like, well, like you don't see people going back and making like sequels of like Shakespearean stuff.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
kind of leave it there as like art or whatever.
It's like,
right?
yeah,
Or,
this is,
you don't add on to the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which there's something to be said about that. I get it,
Yeah.
but I
mean-
think that's also the idealism around what art is. But at the same time, that's a good question as to like if that is his work. I mean, like, should you fiddle with it and
Is it his
whatever?
work?
You know what I mean?
That's
what I mean.
It
Is, like,
gets
I
into
don't
that
know,
debate
right?
because imagine if who made the Mona Lisa? I can't remember right now.
I don't know.
Anyways, wow, this is sad. Anyways, if
Damon Lindelof.
yes, imagine if David Lindelof, who made the Mona Lisa, came back and was like, you know what, I actually want to tweak it a bit because I'm not really happy with like how this is. Because like you'd be like, no, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
we've all appreciated this for how many years? It's like this isn't yours anymore, and it's kind of like where does all art kind of reach that point where it's like this belongs to everybody now? You're not gonna go back and like redo the last 2 pages of the Watchmen. Like you don't. Like everybody's already attached
But I
to
mean,
what
so
it
wasn't his comic licensed under somebody though?
is.
It's
Through
Yeah,
Well,
DC.
I mean,
It's
legally,
through-
yeah.
Legally,
Yeah.
it was
Wait,
through
that's-
DC.
But you see the argument of like, well, he's the one that literally wrote.
Of course,
whatever.
I mean,
but at
but-
the same time, like on the other hand, it's kind of like, well, what is that to say about like fan fiction? Like like what if someone wrote a fan fiction? Are you gonna be like, I hate you, you should burn
Yeah.
for writing fan fiction
Yeah,
of my
no,
story?
exactly.
It's kind of like, well, no.
And not only that, it's like you wrote this thing and it influenced so many people, and then they got so involved in that world that like, if you're so detached from it, and it's been so long, like, may as well let somebody try something. I don't know.
I think the key.
but
with
if I was
all
the
of it-
artist, I'd probably be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah,
Sorry, go
but I think the key with all of it too, with all these things though, is that it has to be. It's like taste. It has to be done tastefully. It has to be
Yes,
done well.
exactly,
Like kind of
yeah.
like when they remake anything, just as an example, video games or movies or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to feel like, oh, it still does justice to. But they're not. It's such a careful balance of like, oh, but they're not just using what they, just copying it.
That's
Yeah.
a very
It's like
hard
a
thing
new
to do.
thing, but it's gotta feel the same, but
Yeah.
different. But like, just do it justice, but not just milking
Yeah.
it. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we've all watched stuff that's been on too far, and either it's like, okay, this is too new. This is just not even close to what the original thing was. And then you get the other ones that are like, well, this is just the same thing. Why did you even make it if it's just the same shit?
Yeah.
Right?
kind of like how I felt about the Watchmen movie. I was kind of like, you just. It's such a tricky thing to like try to recreate because like
Yeah.
it was almost like shot for shot a lot of it like the actual comic, and I was like, I appreciate this, but then it's like on the other hand, I'm like, I wish he took more chances. But I don't know. At the same time, it's like, would I be happy if he took too many chances? Then I'd be probably pissed. So
Because my thing
Yeah.
when I first watched it, because I read the comic first too,
Yeah.
is that when they open with the classic. So I was watching with
The-
Killies
the
with
times
my
are
best
changing.
my best buddy I was watching it with, and we
Yeah.
were like, the first thing they open up with is they're doing that scrapping scene. Remember, like where comedians fighting.
oh
The guy you don't know who's
Yeah.
killed
Trying
him.
to kill him,
yeah.
Yeah, so they're scrapping, and it's that classic Zack Snyder, like
Yeah.
super choreographed,
Slow-mo.
super like rowdy and whatever, right? My first thing was like, I hope he doesn't think, like Achilles doesn't think that
this movie
this is just smashing and whatever.
like, fighting,
Like just fighting, it's just like a fighting movie.
like, this is an actual.
But then after that fight scene, Achilles looks at me and he's like, yo, this is sick.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, like maybe, maybe that's what it was. Because I guess in some way it did, I could see it fit, like I'm open-minded enough, like
Yeah.
I'm like Alan Moore, I assume, to be like, yeah, like I can see how that could fit into the universe. right? Like, as long as it's not too much, you assume that, like, yeah, you know, there could be a good fight scene because they're superheroes and superheroes fighting. It's like, yeah, I mean, and you could say that, you know, the comedian should be a pretty high-level superhero, so this guy that's fucking with comedian could be like, it makes you think, like, oh, this guy must be pretty nuts then, if this crazy fight scene happened, or whatever, right? But I think, in general, he hit it pretty well because he tried to stay as true as he could, which even that's hard, right? To just try to, like, follow something. That could even be hard. I could see that, like, you know, making from book to movie or comic book to movie. But I did think at first, I'm like, I hope it's not too like, you know, actiony and too, like, over the top or whatever, because I wanted it to stay pretty true. But, like, there's certain changes that I didn't particularly like, which they're subtle, but those are certain scenes that, like, when you read the comic, they stick with you. So one of them was when Rorschach. Remember he talks about the first guy he kills?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this guy, like, raped
butchered
children or whatever. Yeah. And then in the comic book, he ties him to the furnace and lights the house on fire. And then he stands outside and he just watches the house burn. And he just feels, you could just feel the emotion of him, like, burning because he hated him so much and all the conviction. But in the movie, what they did instead was he just got angry and then he just chopped him. Just to be, like, kind of graphic, I think they just chopped his head with a butcher knife. And I was like, that's not the same, because I imagined the feeling of, like, Rorschach. Now I'm saying it's stupid. Rorschach standing on the sidewalk watching the building burn, and that was like a very feely moment. Yeah, very feely moment when I read that part. Enlightening. Yeah.
They did kind of take some of the, like,
some of the scenes they took out.
Bravados, whatever.
But a lot of it, I think they did right, and I think it was good for those, like, if you want people to actually, and that's the other thing, like, as an artist, you know, back to the Alan Moore thing, did you write it because you want people to see it? Because if you did, then I know, I mean, there's obviously an argument for, like, well, if you want them to say it, they should see it in its original format, and it should be read as a comic book because that's how I wrote it, and I understand that completely, obviously, right? Like, it wasn't meant, he didn't write it as a movie. He wrote it as a comic book.
Art versus commerce.
But at the same time, like, if like most people, or like if whoever watches the movie can get that same feeling or get the same message that you're trying to put out there, I feel like it's kind of worth it. But it's also, again, like, what was your goal when you wrote the story, right? Was it to be just read as a comic only, and only the people that read it like it as a comic only?
I know what I mean? It's also just like, it's not like the comic's gone. You know what I mean? Like, people make the movie, they're making the show.
That's how I feel about it.
But if you feel like these are garbage, just don't care about these and just be like, this is the best one, and just read the thing that you like.
In general, I totally agree with you. But I also think that's a sign of, like, the generation that we grew up in, is that we have so much, like, media that we're like, well, there's just gonna be another one or whatever, or, like, you can just pick and choose. Like, we've grown up with options because of the internet. So we're just like, yeah, well, that one's better than that one. Whereas before, there's only, like, 5 stories, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's only, like, a handful of things. So as soon as they're gonna remake or change or whatever, you're like, but that was my one story. Like, you fucking really? Like,
that's how I feel about, like, sequels. Like, people are like, oh, no, it's fucking ruined. It's like, no, you still have the one you liked.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, they ruined the Star Wars universe. I'm like, we still have the 3.
It's not like they said, hey, these 3, they didn't matter.
Like, it does solely the name, I guess. But for me, I could still be like, but I still like these 3.
But
I can still watch them.
That reminds me of, like, so I'll speak for what Brat could say based on, like, I mean, this is what I'm saying based on what he was saying, but how, you know, when like, Brat's the kind of guy that needs something finished, right? He's the guy that's like, I don't care if it's even a bad ending, I need it to end. But when you end something, or like have an extension of it when you add these things to sequels and whatever, it's hard not to look at it as, like, a whole. So when the Star Wars series does eventually end, like, what would you rate Star Wars in? Like, you know, if someone's like, what Star Wars do you like? Star Wars good? And you look at all the movies, you'd be like, you could. Someone could be like that, right? They could be like the first 3, and then you have to, like, do that whole thing, right? Whereas you could, you know, like, that's why that's the kind of guy that would be like, well, they should have stopped it there. So, and then if they did in this hypothetical world, you could be like, well, what's Star Wars? Oh, it's actually really good. Period. Yeah. Right. There's an argument to be said about
speaking to a certain mindset for sure. But yeah.
Because you could just say, like, the first.
But you'd be like, I still have the ones I like, you know. Yeah. Like Terminator 1 and 2, good. The rest can go fucking goat.
But I think it's because people don't want to have that, like, oh, they ruined that series.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because it does make it annoying when you're trying to talk about something you enjoy, and then people go, oh, but there's that shitty one or this thing, because now you have to address it.
Like, for
every time.
example,
I get
here's an example of something like not done super well.
Mm-hmm.
Transformers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, like
one.
Like they still have, yeah. Like I mean, the first one was pretty good.
And
Yeah.
Bumblebee is the best one out of all of them.
That's funny, yeah. That's crazy.
Okay.
Bumblebee is the best one out. If it's on Netflix too, if you get a chance
Yeah.
to watch it, it's
I might
fucking
actually
really
watch
good.
that.
Because I think there's also like you could even say like and this is all just there's no right or wrong. We're just playing with ideas here. But like, you know, you could say like, oh, there's still the original Transformers that were good.
Yeah.
But the new generation that was raised with the new Transformers,
Like
of the Michael Bay movies, they mostly only know Transformers through that. And then they're like, okay, Transformers is kind of stupid, right? But then, you know, then you have to have that guy from whenever the original cartoon came out and be like, hey, no, they're actually good though, I swear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just, that way it's kind of like, oh, like maybe he preferred it better if it was just left like that, maybe. Or,
Yeah, because you have to deal with that baggage in conversation.
yeah. They're like,
But you know what? Like, I don't know. There's so many things like that. Lord of the Rings. Oh, but the Hobbit movies suck. You know, like
that's true.
Star Wars. Everything sucks.
But yeah. No, I always found that really hard though, that balance.
Yeah.
Of trying to like find that, you know.
It's also just rough because that's like Hollywood is really just trying to like squeeze out every dollar they can out of every single thing.
And they try to make sequels and remakes and shit. They've run out of ideas in a lot of ways. So.
Well, I think it's safer to
We
pick a
talked about
property
this
you've
before.
made.
Do we
money
talk
in.
about this, or
I think so.
we can talk about it again?
Yeah,
It's easier.
It's much easier and safer to make
Yeah.
money off. Like Star Wars is gonna come out this Christmas. It's gonna make $1 billion.
Yeah, it is.
It will. Like it's
No doubt.
just going to. So it's like, well, like we're gonna make our money back on this movie.
I've heard
Why
that-
would we not? Why would we make something else when?
Well, like I was saying, it's because the economy's been good and like everything has
Yes.
been going well,
Yeah.
and so they're afraid to change things because it's like, why would we take chances? Because like we're already doing this, we're already making money and doing really well. Why would I change anything? Why wouldn't I just make Star Wars 78 number 10 or
Yeah.
whatever and just keep this upward trajectory? Because they assume that if you keep making stuff, people will watch it because that's what the economy's been doing
Yeah.
for the last however many years. Whereas, like I was saying, like, and I could be wrong, but it seems sometimes though, like when the economy's bad, it's like people are willing to take more chances and more risks because it's like, well, whatever we're doing wasn't working. It's not working. The economy's bad, so we
Yeah.
might as well just try some crazy shit, and maybe this will be the way out, and we'll start making money again.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're already making money, you're afraid to risk it. So why would I risk it? We're already
it's
doing well.
It's easier to like advertise something that has already been established than.
That's why Scorsese went to Netflix.
Yeah.
He got all the money he wanted. And he's gonna
Well,
make the.
we
Irish
already
thing.
had this discussion in a different podcast,
Yeah, we
but
did.
you know, I was like, yeah. The
well,
one
not
where they're
everybody
crazy-
listens to the same podcast.
I'm excited for Irish.
Well, go back and watch like 2 podcasts ago where we talk about the creative side of streaming.
I'm not gonna tell people to do. You don't have to watch anything. You can just watch this one.
No, I'm telling you, go watch.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't have anything.
Um,
Go watch Watchmen.
Yeah.
Watch Watchmen, guys.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh no, I might. I probably will.
It's on my Crave.
Yeah.
It's on Crave.
It's on
nice.
Crave.
So
Or, like-
watch on Sims Crave.
Watch on my Crave. Password and email address will be here.
That segment was
Here.
sponsored by uTorrent. Go download uTorrent.
Do you remember when LimeWire shut down?
I used
Yeah.
BitComet.
That was sad.
BitComet. I don't.
The BitComet was the orange one.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
that one. I don't know that one.
I mean, I didn't download anything.
It's the 90s. No laws existed.
What are you talking about?
I miss LimeWire.
Oh, speaking of crazy geniuses
It's
like Alan
Napster.
Moore, Hideo Kojima's newest game.
Oh, you want to talk about Death Stranding?
This will be another hour.
Okay, we only got 11 minutes and 37
Oh,
seconds.
okay, it'll be an hour and 11 minutes. Okay. No, Death Stranding is coming out. I'm getting it this Friday. I have it pre-ordered. I'm gonna deliver some boxes. No, I love that the reviews are all over the place. There is a lot of like 9s and 10s. But IGN America, I think, gave it a 6.8. And man, they got a lot of backlash for that.
Well, I listened to the podcast of them talking about. So like all the people in the podcast played it, and the reviewer wasn't in there.
Oh, okay.
I think was he? He might have been actually. He might have. It would have made sense if he wasn't there actually.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna sit across the and make this stuff for everyone.
But they're saying that, and I think this is good. It's indicative of like a new kind of experimental game or whatever. Is that like it's not traditional in a lot of ways? Obviously that like obviously you expect that from Kojima.
Yeah.
But they're just saying like the mundaneness. Some people like they enjoy
The mundaneness.
it's not like I guess not the mundaneness, but it's kind of like you're doing the same thing, but there's that feeling of progression.
Yeah,
and it's like the story kind
of like what you'll run into this time round.
But it's kind of like when someone asks them, like, oh, will I like Death Stranding, or like, is Death Stranding good? Their answer wouldn't just be like yes. Yeah, they'd be like, well, what kind of games do you like? Because versus them saying like like Spider-Man on PS4.
Yeah, it's like this is an all-around good game.
Or God of War.
Yeah,
right. It's like, is God of War good? Like,
you're gonna like it.
Yes, it's a good game.
This game is like I can already tell it's gonna take a lot of patience. I can tell it's gonna be kind of tough to progress, and I won't even like have a grasp of it till I'm like halfway through the game.
Are you gonna finish it?
I'm gonna totally finish this game.
Yeah. What if you don't like? What if you're just like, this is stupid?
No, it's Kojima. I will do it for him.
You heard it here first, Kojima.
No, I'm a fucking Kojima advocate, man. I've been around. I love Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite game of all time, and he made that game. I don't know if you know that. So. He's really branched into this like area where he wants to like throw you basically into like it's like, here's all the things you can do, now here's a theme park to do it in, and just do however you want kind of thing.
Did you hear he's gonna start making movies or something?
I did hear that.
Do you think this is his transition? He gets to know all the actors?
I think so. Well, I mean, he
scans them into
he's always buddied up to Hollywood, but this is like the most extreme buddying up I've ever seen. Like Edgar Wright. You know Edgar Wright?
Yeah.
He's in the movie. He's in the game.
Guillermo del Toro's in the game.
Guillermo del Toro's in the game. There's this Danish director that's also in the game.
Maybe it's just all a ploy.
Daryl in the game?
It's just like, yo, I'll put you in the game.
You play as Norman Reedus. One of my favorite actors, Mads Mikkelsen, is like a villain in the game. So like, I'm so excited. Conan O'Brien's in the game.
Yeah.
And he gives you an otter outfit, and you can swim like an otter.
Damn, the game. You haven't even played the game, and you just know.
I already know. Okay, one thing I do have to recommend: go watch this Kotaku. Yeah. That's it. Kotaku review of Death Stranding. It's 1 hour long, and it is fucking. It's pretty funny, and it's like totally like trying to spoof.
That's actually what they said about the IGN review too. Is that like the review itself is really good, and they're saying like you should like watch the review and read the review, and then just make up a number that you want the game to be, and then apply it to.
No, this review is like totally making fun of like the hype around Kojima and like just Kojima stuff, but like in a funny, well done way. I don't even know how to explain it. I was watching this review. I'm like, the fuck am I watching right now? Like, this is not a regular review. You know, you watch like IGN and it'll be like, gameplay, the gameplay was really smooth, blah blah blah. I give that like a 7, and then But this game, it's just like, this game makes me feel this way, and it's just like, it's fucking weird. I'll show you guys a bit of it after. But go if you're gonna watch one review, go watch the Kotaku
hour-long Kotaku review.
The hour-long. It's as long as the game. No, the game's like 70 hours probably. No, I'm excited. I don't care. I'm in. It looks fucking weird, like, and I'm so down. I hope he doesn't just make movies. I want to keep making games. But
you know what's funny is I feel like everybody should be now. This is my tidbit. This is my content making. Why are we doing things? Bit. You ready to end this with this? Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody should aim to be some version of that, like Kojima style, where it's like, there's no like expectation. You're not trying to be like AAA, God of War, the next COD or whatever. You're just doing whatever weird shit that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then people are just gonna be like, yo, that guy. I get it. Like I get it. That. Yeah, I fuck with that shit.
Kojima's like earned his place because he's made so many games over the years that finally he has his own studio. And
but also he did it in his own way. Like when he tried to explain Metal Gear to me, I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. And then Psycho Mantis, and then Psycho Mantis. But really, there's three snakes.
And when you fight Psycho Mantis, you have to take controller out of port 1 and put it into port 2 in order to fight him. That's actually a thing that happens in Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah.
You're fighting a boss.
Controller out?
Yes. Yeah, you have to literally switch controller 1 port to controller 2 in order to beat this boss.
Can you play 2 people at the same time?
No, it's just like a single player game.
But how many people didn't beat that part and to this day haven't? Right?
Yeah,
they ruined it for.
They stopped playing Metal Gear since that point.
Game was in 1996 or something. Yeah.
That's already, like, in my mind, that's already too much work.
It's convoluted, man.
How far? Like, I'm trying to play Modern Warfare. I got through the first hour. I'm like, this is a really good game.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not. I don't want to shoot these guys anymore, man.
Yeah, I know.
And I just sit down and I start watching something. Like, this is much easier.
Yeah.
I sit down.
Anyways, I'm getting that game this Friday, so wait for next podcast where I talk for a full hour about Death Stranding.
It'll just be Zach by himself again.
It will be, yeah.
Just record yourself. That way we don't have to be there.
You know? No, I want you to suffer.
You should stream yourself playing it.
I should. You're right.
Yeah.
I can do
Okay.
that. Thanks for watching.
It's been Guyscast.
Yeah, it's been Guyscast. Guyscast and Couch.
Okay, bye.
Bye.